Tribal Health and Human Services Department of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes is proud to present Good Medicine, a program dedicated to the wellness of the Flathead Nation. The mission is summarized quite simply: a healthier people, a stronger nation. We will strive to make Good Medicine a reliable source of ideas and information about health issues so that everyone can make informed decisions about their own lifestyle and health care. You will meet health professionals, tribal government and spiritual leaders, and interesting people from the tribal community discussing important health issues that profoundly affect us all.
Good afternoon or good morning. I'm Roxanne Coleman-Herrick, your host of Good Medicine today. We have a very interesting, I think a very inspiring guest that we're all going to learn a lot from today. We have Cyndi Marie Elliott with us today with lots of little friends. If you can see the table, we have lots of little beautiful artwork and little people on the table today that we're going to be talking about. So Cyndi, thank you very much for coming to the program today and being courageous to talk about some issues that are very meaningful and inspiring for you. Tell us a little bit about, the name of your mission is called Wholehearted. Mm-hmm. Tell us what Wholehearted, where this all came about.
Well, I named my company Wholehearted because my brother, David, has Down syndrome. And I'm an occupational therapist, and I work with people with a lot of different conditions. I call them different abilities. And so David was born with a hole in his heart. And so as a child, I remember thinking how sad that was, that it wasn't enough that, he has other complications. And then when I was about 40 and searching for a depth, what's the meaning of my life, and being a very, looking for some more depth, I realized David was born with a hole in his heart because he was born open-hearted. And so Wholehearted is about living wholeheartedly. He inspires me to go deep into just the depth of life. And so that's why I named it Wholehearted.
It's kind of interesting that you're an occupational therapist, and how that all ties into the vision and the mission and the journey that you're on right now. How long are you're doing occupational therapy now?
Yes, I am. I have a pediatric occupational therapy practice in Polson, and so I work with private therapy clients. I also consult with Head Start. But I have found that I'm starting to enjoy speaking on looking at people in a different way, in an inspired way, which we'll go into, but I have experience as a sibling, which is huge. It's great. And being a family member and having people work with him and watching that, and then, so.
Well, tell me a little bit about how it was growing up with David.
Oh, it was.
I know this is really something that's close to your heart. So.
It is. It's so great. I mean, I think it's just immeasurable what David has taught me, and I talked about the depth of things. I mean, that he has so many qualities, and growing up with him was an interesting lesson in compassion, because he obviously needed help, but it makes you see that not everybody is equipped the same way. And that, but that there's other abilities that grow. And also, I didn't know how different he was because he just grew up next to me. And so we would go into, say, a grocery store and people would look away from him. And I adored this person. And I think that really impacted me to say, wow, nobody knows what's in him like I do. And so it's the richness and the deepness and the gifts and, like the amazing qualities are he never held anger. He was always in the moment. he would never enter a room with preconditioned ideas. He was so calm. I mean, he didn't have to forgive because he never seemed to hold things. I was in a family of 10, so that was really busy. So I'm the 9th child, he's the 10th. We spent a lot of time together. And he just, when I would enter the room, he just was so excited. He didn't hold back. And so it was such a treasure to grow up with him. And I think that that's what I would like to speak about too. I'd like to relieve parents to say, this is such an amazing gift. Sure, it takes more time, it takes more patience, it takes, but the amazing qualities that a person grows with when they see somebody that's different. And I really believe, it's like when somebody's blind, how their sense of touch is so much more amped up. I really think that that's what happens with so many people that have a different ability, is that their compassion grows, their courage grows, their patience grows. They're just amazing people. And we need to remember that we aren't here to fix anybody. We're not here to panic about this. That really, I've come to full circle now. I've been an OT for 16 years. I think they're teaching me. Like, I go to work and they're working on me. So it's really an amazing opportunity.
I think the story of David is a story that I think is important to hear about. Because oftentimes, I think what really does happen is we will open a book, and if it's not something that captivates our attention, as soon as you open the book is closed. And I think we really miss out on the real story, the real message. And sometimes you kind of have to go a little bit deeper than the surface to find what those messages are. And then by the time you're at the end of a good book, you have learned something.
Yes.
You've connected with something in that story.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit. I love these figurines. What inspired you? Now, you said earlier you had no skill as far as sculpting.
Right.
So
right.
How did this happen if you have no skill?
Well, I don't know. I'm a painter, mostly a painter, and I took a summer off a few years ago, and I was going to write a children's book about the way my brother touched my life and the way that children have inspired me. And so I was trying to illustrate the book, but I kept painting anyway, the pictures weren't working out. So I thought, well, I'm going to build some models so I can get 3D figures. Well, the first one that he made is Lily, and I just was really captivated by her grace and her strength. And I just kept going. And so I thought, when I got them all done, I thought, this isn't a book. What I hope to do is make toys out of them so that all children and schools and hospitals could use them. And what I love about them is it acknowledges people that have a different ability or a disability, as some people say. It acknowledges them, because I don't see a whole lot. I don't see this out in the world of mainstream. I'm a therapist, so I've seen some toys, but I don't see the ability and the strength emphasized. I often see the acknowledgement of a condition, but I wanted these toys to say, wow, here's an artist, here's a dancer, she's a scholar, he's a musician, and they all have conditions, and that's what I wanted to strike first, because I don't want to preach. What I want to do is inspire people to sort of shift their brains and go, this is what I could ask them. This is what I could talk about. Versus, in my experience as a therapist, it always seems as though the conversation gets about their condition. And it's it's like the color of their eyes. It's one piece about them. And so I just want to, I've had the wonderful opportunity of being around people with different abilities, and so I can help you segue to how to comfortably have an exchange with the help of my experience. And
I don't know. Don't most of us have conditions?
Yes.
You know, the problem, the problem over and over and over again is because someone's different, we want to put a diagnosis on it, and we want to treat it instead of embracing it and trying to understand it.
Yes.
We have failed miserably in some of the treatment modes that have been happening throughout the years. So I think this is really, really important to be able to illuminate human beings for being human beings with the same heart that you and I have, same potential, same capabilities.
Right.
And we sometimes get locked into what we see with our eyes instead of what we feel with our hearts.
Right. I totally agree. I think we all have. Instead, Kevin Connolly was just here, and he said that himself. He said, we're all disabled. Disabled means you just can't do something that you want to do. Well, we all have disabilities, and we all have abilities. And it's just that maybe somebody's nerve conduction isn't working. So we see that with our eyes. And so that's a great point, that we might have internal things that people can't see. I mean, and it's great.
I like what you said when you were talking about how David and many other people that I've met over the years with conditions, they don't have any preconceived ideas or perceptions or judgments. They don't know what judgment is. What a beautiful gift. That's a gift in itself, not to know what judgment is.
I know. I often say my brother has a 3-year-old cognitive level. He's 41. He has a 3-year-old cognitive level. He has a wisdom level of a 150-year-old. And I'm just glancing here, and I want to read this about what I've learned.
Please.
I jot these down all the time. What I've learned from David. He's unimpressed by status. All are equal. Just be quiet and bunny hop. It's okay to struggle and to make mistakes. Comfort with their imperfections, whatever that means. We all have imperfections. Asking for help is very simple. People love to follow the lead of uninhibition in dancing, singing, and being silly. I mean, that's so him. Mm-hmm. Stop planning, just experience what's in front of you. I mean, I have lists and lists of these things that is wisdom. And then I get really protective about him because people say he's slow, or he's retarded, or he's, poor thing. And it's just not everybody, but it's, I've sensed that through the years. But it's like, you have no idea. And so it's been a great treat to have a personal expression about that instead of taking it in and getting upset about it. This has just been so great to say, this is what we need to learn, and to have this come through me or in my studio. So
you do other things besides sculpting, dancing?
Dancing.
What are some of the other things that you do to kind of keep yourself centered?
We
love David, and we're going to hear a lot about these figurines, but
yes.
Who are you? Why did you get into occupational therapy?
Well, as far as my work, I found occupational therapy. It's not all that common. There's not a whole lot of us, but the reason that I love occupational therapy, because it is about, this is the traditional approach, is to look at the unique individual for who they are, and what do we need to bridge to make them independent in who they are. So it's a lot of my personality, and it's a lot of who I am. And so it's not about me saying, this person needs this person needs this, oh, they better do this. It's more about that, okay, she's an artist, she's going to need to move this way. So I love that occupational therapy approach, which is about the unique individual and letting them come out. And as far as personal, what I do, I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to learn, and I think David taught me that, to not be afraid. And the kids that I work with have taught me that too, because I ask them to do things that are frightening for them all the time. And they say, okay, Cyndi, I'll try. It's amazing, the courage. And I do have to speak about, I love the approach that I'm talking about. I love being an occupational therapist for the reason of treating a person for what they want to do. And I have seen through the years the tendency for us to sit down as